Good evening. We welcome you all in Elets Knowledge Exchange Summit Goa 2016, in which host partners are Government of Goa and GSIDC. This conference will see vibrant sessions on digital India, smart cities, and various aspects of smart cities and how Goa, Panjim can become a smart city and other cities in India can become smart cities, and we'll see knowledge sharing from various stakeholders across India and how IT can be leveraged for making this digital India dream, smart city dream a reality. Keeping in mind these two important aspects of Government of India in which other state governments are also doing their own, this conference will see dedicated sessions on digital India, various components of smart cities, smart healthcare for smart cities, smart education for smart cities, and others. Today, we'll have the inaugural session in an hour's time, where we'll see galaxy of people will be part of that inaugural session, including Chief Minister of Goa, Deputy Chief Minister of Telangana, as well as Chief Secretaries from other states and senior bureaucrats from Goa and other state governments, as well as industry leaders, which is one of the important parts. To start with, Elets Knowledge Exchange Summit Goa 2016, we will have the first session on digital India, changing digital landscape of the country. And we have got key stakeholders of digital India in this room today who will be part of this session. I'll call one by one all of them on stage. To start with, Sir Peeyush Kumar, Joint Secretary, Direct Benefit Transfer, Government of India. A big round of applause for him, please. And we know how IT is being leveraged in DBT ecosystem to make government service delivery a reality. Thanks a lot, sir, for joining us. Sri Shashi Ranjan Kumar, Joint Secretary, Department of Telecommunications, Government of India. Again, DOT is playing a major role, and we know about BharatNet and everything, how all Gram Panchayats will be connected. That's the dream of Government of India, and state governments are working on that. There are challenges as well, I think, and I think both of them will share their challenges, and we'll see the industry perspective from their point of view also. We have Mr. George Kuruvilla, Chairman and Managing Director, Broadcast Engineering Consultants India, BECIL. It's again one of the biggest PSUs in India, and he will share his vision on how IT or digital India landscape can be fruitful for them as well. We have representation from Goa itself. We have Ms. Revati Mujumdar, CEO of Goa Electronics Limited. I invite ma'am on stage. And all our conferences, we have tried to create a platform where we can see the government perspective, key stakeholders associated with government, as well as the industry perspective, how industry is thinking about various programs of Government of India. To have the industry perspective, we have today with us Mr. Aejaz Saiyed, Senior Manager, Emerging Technology Division, AMC. A big round of applause for him. So, without wasting much time, I'll request Mr. Peeyush Kumar, Joint Secretary, Direct Benefit Transfer, Government of India, to share his vision on digital India, changing digital landscape of the country. Mr. Peeyush Kumar.
Presentation, you can put it on. Would that be possible? Thank you. I would like to thank Elets and Government of Goa for having organized a very important conference on the digital initiatives, which is one of the most important things in different spheres in Government of India that is happening, and it's a very nice location and very good logistics worked out for the conference. So I'd like to thank the organizers. Of course, we have inaugural session in in an hour's time, and we have 5 speakers, so I think the time would be limited. I'll take about 7-8 minutes just to take you through a few of the slides on what we are doing in the direct benefit transfers, and then we will have other 10 minutes, and then we have other presentations. Then we'll have some interaction or maybe some time for, if that is there, some for question answers we can have. While normally I'll take you through the presentation, if any points are there in between also, I'd welcome any suggestions or any interjections in between. Thank you. To begin with, direct benefit transfer, is an important initiative, and to understand why DBT is important for the government, we have to look at the context of government welfare and program. So just to give an idea, subsidies and other benefits forms a major part of the government expenditure. For instance, in this current financial year, almost 3 lakh crore is the budget which is set aside for the welfare programs. Out of about 17 lakh crore is the Government of India budget, and in that, considering the fact that major allocations are for defense and for other sectors which are more structured, we can see that a huge chunk of the government expenditure is actually earmarked for the welfare programs. So this is about 3 lakh crores. Major subsidies like LPG, kerosene, food, then major programs like rural employment guarantee schemes, pensions, scholarships is what constitutes this expenditure. The problem with the subsidies and welfare schemes, the fact that Government of India sanctions a huge amount which we are not able to properly target, ill targeting, then leakages, inefficient service delivery, which has been talked about much, almost in 80s when the famous statement that out of 1 rupee, only 15 paisa which reaches the people down below, then Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi's statement. So this has been a sector which is besieged with a lot of problems, and government has not been able to solve that. As a result, there's a great burden on the exchequer, and the problems of that precious money which is or borrowed money is not able to reach people efficiently. So against this backdrop, a major reform initiative was the direct benefit transfer scheme, which was started in 1st January 2013, and which aims to reach across, cutting various levels in the government and reaching across directly to people. Accurate targeting, re-engineering of processes are some of the points that were started. This was about in 2013. Of late, after DBT and in the current regime, with the re-emphasis on with PMJDY and other initiatives coming up, the DBT scope has been redefined. To start with, DBT was essentially a cash-driven program, but now latest orders that we have included on benefits in kind also. So now we have expanded the scope, cash to individuals like Manrega and Pahal program. Then we have in-kind transfers, for example, education system or food, where the service is delivered in kind, but the process of that delivery uses the ICT. Then we have other major programs like the processes, including the ASHA workers, the Anganwadi workers, the aided teachers, where we would like to use the technology to ensure that proper channelization of the benefits or the scheme is there. So given these background, the vision of direct benefit transfer is essentially a government governance regime which aims at a simple and a user-friendly government to people interface for delivery of entitlements to individuals, eligible people, using transparent and efficient means. The mission statements is accurate identification, process re-engineering, promotion of financial inclusion, and digital platforms. So this part is where we, in the context of this, summit also becomes important, because government is today looking at these different digital platforms to be evolved for many of the service deliveries. DBT mission was started by Planning Commission and then taken up in Ministry of Finance. Currently, with growing stature on the DBT, this has become a part of Cabinet Secretariat since last year. Last September, mission was shifted, and now it is formally the part of the PMO. We are presently monitoring schemes in the central government schemes. We are monitoring about 66 schemes across 15 ministries. And today, presently, we are about 31 crore beneficiaries in this, in the last financial year, were delivered about 60,000 crore of amount. So that's about the size of the direct benefit transfer in Government of India. One of the major programs is a scholarship where we have National Scholarship Portal. This portal was developed last year. There are certain issues on the portal and it is under revamping. I mean, for the current academic year, which starts July, the admissions. So we are looking at a National Scholarship Portal 2.0 version, which will be shortly commenced. Similarly, government has been very keen that all the union territories, which are directly administered by the central government, are fully on the DBT platform, DBT mode by in this financial year. That's a target we are actively pursuing. This gives an idea of a DBT framework. Essentially, there are it gives a location of different stakeholders, the ministries, departments, and the state governments, which are running the programs, the NIC team, and the digitization of the beneficiary, the computer teams, which IT teams which are working in the field. Then we have the Aadhaar enrollment, which is by UIDI, the Unique Identification Authority of India, and also the RGI, which provides the unique identification system for this to happen. Then the fourth leg is the banks, which are the important components to ensure that the benefits are transferred directly to the individual. Of course, the PFMS is the Public Finance Management System, which is the government IT platform on which the edifice of DBT is standing. The enablers for the direct benefit transfer, in a real sense, last year, 2015 January economic survey talked about a new term which has now caught on in many sense, the JAM Trinity, Jandhan, Aadhaar, and mobile. So in a real sense, it is these three initiatives, and all of them are related IT initiatives, I would say, which have made DBT a possibility. Jandhan, of course, as all of you are aware, this government had started an initiative very soon on assuming power in July 2014 itself. By January last year, 2015, there were quite impressive results coming, and today we have almost about 22 crore accounts which have been opened. It is said that in the banking sector, along with there are total about 85 crore bank accounts, and if you multiple accounts, if you were to account for, there are about 55 crore accounts for around 35 crore families in the country. So the point being that almost everybody is today covered under the banking sector. The mobile has been a great revolution in India, starting 1998 to 2008, 10 years period, which just preceded the Aadhaar revolution, was the IT revolution and in the telecommunications revolution in terms of mobile usage. Today we have more than 100 crore connections, billion connections in mobile. Similarly, Aadhaar is something which last 4 or 5 years has made very impressive progress, and almost a billion plus we have Aadhaar. So these three, in a sense, provide us the means to reach out to people directly. The Aadhaar being the unique, the digital identity of a person, mobile being the mode of that conveying, and account being the through which we can transfer these the benefits. So here again the same point is being depicted. The mobile 100 crore, Aadhaar and NPCI Aadhaar payment bridge, and NASH is the National Automated Controlling House, that is the NPCI mechanism for interbanking transfer mechanism. So we have NPCI enabling this in the negotiating or providing the IT platform in the banking sector, and we have PFMS, which is the Public Finance monitoring system, which is the government IT sector. So these platforms are in a sense converging to make DBT a possibility. Sectoral analysis we have given here about the 59 schemes, 66 schemes which are on the DBT platform. Latest 7 schemes have been added this month, so we have 66 presently. These are the 59 earlier which were given there. Similarly, the sectoral analysis, if you look at PEHL is a major constituent of the DBT payments, which is the government, DBT in the LPG scheme, which has been very successful. Then we have Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, MGA, Manrega, as we call it, 42%. Then there are scholarships and other pension programs which occupy that space. If you look at yearly growth, last year about 46,000 crore was given under DBT to across, and there were about 22 crore beneficiaries. The beneficiaries have grown up now to 31 crore, and almost 1,08,000 crore has been the benefits which have been transferred on the DBT platform. There are impressive gains, early gains already available. Almost 25% is the savings that we have accounted for in the subsidy sector where we have used DBT. Similarly, under the welfare program, due to deduplication and all, we have been able to show a saving of about 10%. So this is only in a limited context where we have a few of the states and central government scheme. It is estimated when everything is brought on the DBT platform, there will be huge savings which will be which can be used better for better targeting of these programs. Now the financial infrastructure, DBT, the very central part of the DBT debate is reaching out the financial services to people. And at one point of time when we started DBT in 2013, we were looking at bank delivery. But very soon, very early in the day, we realized that merely transferring amounts to the banks do not, is not the end of the story, because we have only about 43,000 bank branches in the country, serving about more than 6 lakh villages. So it was well understood that if we transfer these amounts to the bank, and if people are faced with the prospects of traveling something like 25 kilometers, 30 kilometers to reach to the account, and small payments like 500 pension amount if it has to be paid, and a person has to spend 1 day's wages and has to travel to certain distance, and that hardship is to face, then it defeats the objective. So ultimately, the true objective of DBT will be served if we have this doorstep delivery, and that is where we need to head. The challenges here we are trying to show, almost out of 6,60,000 village, only about 1,74,000 villages are presently connected after the BC, the banking correspondent and other models that has been looked at. So here now we are looking at these sectors very closely in the DBT mission. In the cabinet secretariat, there is a committee of secretaries which is following up on many of these developments. Essentially, only last week cabinet has approved India payment post banks, India post payment banks actually. So we have, along with that, payment banks of almost 11 banking licenses were given different stages. Around 3 we are told there are certain problems, but at least 3 to 4 payment banks will be coming up by this year end in the field. So a great, we feel that there is a great revolution that is in the shaping, and once in this financial year, which is end of the 31st March 2017, with the post payment banks coming in, with micro ATMs being deployed in the field, with some of the other private payment banks coming up, with mobile banking coming up, we feel that this whole sector is going to see a great revolution in terms of in terms of banking financial services penetration. So that is going to be a important part of the program to come up. Apart from that, some of the important points that are going to come up in next 6 months to 1 year. There was a very high level, Prime Minister level review meeting that has happened. There are a number of meetings that we are having at internally with various stakeholders, and it has been decided now that DBT portal government will be putting up as an aggregator of many other systems which ministries and state governments will be following up. So if you look at it, it's a centralized DBT portal that is being proposed to as an aggregator for all data which is coming from the field. availability of information at the individual beneficiary level, along with feedback grievance mechanism. Now, for that to happen, first point of order would be DBT cell in all ministries and state governments. So this is something which orders have been issued. All the Government of India ministries which are running welfare programs, we've asked them to create IT applications through a DBT cell. And similarly, state governments which are running their own programs, they should create a DBT cell and have an IT team which will be developing IT applications for various rollout of various welfare programs. Once that happens, and then DBT portal is something which can aggregate the information or flowing in from these independent programs. All subsidies and welfare programs have to be necessarily computed. Then the last point, which is an important point, is that for DBT to be fully operational, we need a universal beneficiary data set, which is both federated in the sense that it is at the village level and at the district level, which is maintained and which is updated. So it is a federated dynamic database. So what we are talking about is each family-wise, household-wise, there will be a data set where person can update his information, and that information will be available for different applications in state governments and ministries to use that information to run their own programs. So this will be the architect that will make this possible. The same thing in a pictorial representation, citizen, then we have at the village level, that is the down level where a system is developed. Then we have applications running on that at the district level and the state level. And of course, national level, we have a convergence in terms of DBT portal. So this is a digital platform on which, different applications have to be worked out. A lot of presently, a lot of activities, efforts are going on in designing the system. Digital India, of course, one of the key points in Digital India is, connectivity through optical fiber network system, e-governance, different models, digital platform, digital, certificates, e-district programs are all which make that ultimately a possibility. And therefore, for DBT to happen, this digital revolution or the program that government is taking up from a different multiple points of view becomes very important. So this is essentially what then leads to DBT, and this is what I had for presentation, short presentation to give you a perspective for DBT. I'd be very happy to interact further on. Thank you.
On how DBT is playing an important role in the digital India ecosystem, and let's hope that it truly brings Kranti, through e-Kranti, for the days ahead. Thanks a lot. I will request Mr. Aejaz Saiyed, Senior Manager, Emerging Technology Division, EMC, to share his vision how industry can participate in this digital India ecosystem.
All right, great. Now for my presentation. Well, I love technology. It never works when you really want it to. So, by the time my presentation comes up, my name is Aejaz. I'm part of EMC. EMC is a $22 billion organization, global organization in the space of IT infrastructure and data and information management. And well, that brings up our presentation. All right, and I'm here to talk about the connected digital cities. But before I begin, it was lovely to hear from you, sir. As a citizen of India, it's lovely, probably my first opportunity to really hear the government initiatives from the government side. We always, as vendors, as IT industry, we keep talking to customers and vendors and amongst ourselves, but here was a very good perspective, so thank you very much for that. I'm going to talk about something which is so obvious. The world has changed forever. Do we agree? Yeah, in the last 4 or 5 years, it really has changed. I mean, I personally believe, and I was just about to say this, I am here to bring all the experience. We are prevalent, we are there in every country in the world, multiple offices across the globe, and I'm here to bring all that global experience into my presentation today. So we really see that going forward, the world has changed and is changing. By 2020, this is what's going to happen. Right? 7 billion connected people. forget the population of the world. What is now getting more important or equally important is how many of them, what is the population of the connected world? And that population is 7 billion. 30 billion connected devices, all of it, the people and the devices, generating 44 zettabytes of data. Don't even try and imagine how much of that data is. Right? Don't even try multiplying how many times the pen drive is 44 zettabytes of data. All you need to know is it really is the amount of data that we've not seen up till now. All the IT infrastructure in the world for the largest banks, the largest telcos have not seen 44 zettabytes of data. And what is also interesting is that a lot of it, and is it surprising, a lot of it is going to be in APJ, Asia Pacific and Japan. So of the 7 billion connected people, 3.7 billion in APJ, 8.6 billion connected devices in APJ. And while I don't have figures, I won't be surprised again if a lion's share of this connected devices and connected individuals will be in our country. Right? So that's the premise on which we are living. That's the thing that we will talk about today. Right? And what has happened? Where do you see digital disruption? And I'm not too sure if you've really seen it this way, but I'll present in the next half a minute, I'm going to present a very different perspective. Right? Did the largest taxi owners, the fleet car owners, did they ever imagine that their competition is going to be from an IT player, an IT company? But make no mistakes, Uber is an IT company. Right? Uber is an IT company. It does not own any taxis. So probably a lot of car fleet owners were found napping, right? Similarly, there are multiple examples in hotel chains, book industry. Never thought that they'll face competition from, again, an online portal, right? Or media, right? The big, giant media houses never thought that people are now going to seek information on Facebook or on Twitter. That's the new media platform, right? So in this way, the industry has completely, the digital disruption is right here in front of our eyes, if we care to notice, seriously. Now, the last 15 years, and now I'll turn my focus to a little bit of technology and IT, because that's the want of the day. The last 15 years, and for all those who are a little IT savvy, and for those who are not as well, the last 15 years has been a lot about these large applications, from Oracle, SAS, SAP, Microsoft, right? Build these huge applications to get a business task done in your organization, in government, in whichever walk of life. And run a complete IT infrastructure to a service level. So you need a huge amount of compute, servers, large data centers, etc., to run these applications and catering to a service level, such that your query, let's say, for example, in an ERP mechanism, right? Your query or the entire enterprise resource planning happens in a given frame of time. But that today is changing. And how is it changing? This is what happens, right? Today you're expected, be it a government, be it an organization, or whoever, right? Even an institute, even an education institute. Today you're expected to develop consumer-grade mobile apps, right? Everything is mobile. I want to invoke my applications. I want to invoke the data from my mobile applications, from tab, on the go, on the cloud, right? So the applications still remain the same, the big applications, but you are supposed to develop a layer on top which can marry the old world to the new world. Right? That's really the challenge. This is the IT transformation that you were talking about. And one thing that is really adding further to that, and which is where I'm now going to start connecting to our agenda for the day, which is smart cities, is Internet of Things. How many of us have heard of Internet of Things? A raise of hands, how many of us have heard of Internet of Things? Internet of Things, right? I'm sure there are multiple connotations and multiple interpretations of what we understand of Internet of Things, right? So what is really Internet of Things? It is where the cyber world meets the physical world. It's a nice animation, so I'm going to start that again. So, you know, when these guys, on your screen now, the windmills, the cars, the ambulances start talking. That's where the cyber world meets the physical world. And I have a very beautiful analogy for it. And I mean, all of us have kids, right? I have a 10-year-old kid, and I keep looking at those animation, or what we in India call them as cartoon movies. It's not really cartoon movies, but whatever we call them, right? In the cartoon movies, everybody talks, right? The light bulb talks, the car talks, right? They speak, right? They speak, right? The car speaks, the road speaks, the electricity lamppost speaks, gets heard, and it speaks a language that we understand, English or Hindi or whichever way the animation is, Can you imagine that? We've all seen that with our kids, right? Now that's exactly what's going to happen. May not be English, but when these devices, right, myriad of devices, and I'm going to talk about them, when all of them start talking, well, not exactly English, but a language of IT, a digital language that technology world understands. That's Internet of Things. Now imagine the chatter. Now imagine the chatter, right? We only had big computers talking. So you remember Internet? 80s, a little bit of 90s in India, right? Mostly 90s in India. Suddenly all the computers started talking, right? Network. When I say talking, it means network, right? And we had this huge chatter of information. Now imagine if the light bulbs, the tables, the swimming pool, the ponds, the sea, the chemical factory, all of them start talking, like in an animation movie. Imagine how much of chatter you're going to have. A few use cases, as I mentioned, very difficult to read from here, but I'm saying smart cities, smart parking, smart lighting. If there's absolutely nobody on the road, why do you need the lights? But when there is a car passing, do you need the lights? Smart traffic. Can the ambulance talk to the signal, and then that can talk to all the cars in the next lane? Imagine the possibilities, right? Imagine the possibilities, and that's happening today. Now, all of this is possible, and this could be in chemical factories, this could be in educational institutes, this could be in homes, right? We've heard of smart homes, right? Where I can manage all my devices because they're talking to me while I'm in office. That's what smart cities, Internet of Things, all amalgamated together is all about. I've still not hit the IT challenge in doing that. Sounds good, sounds very nice from an animation movie, but we still don't know. So this is what we were talking about, paucity of time. I'll move on. From this slide, what is really important, and I need to read this, is if you see problems with using IT, right? Advantage, IoT, sorry, Internet of Things. Advantages, all of us know, improved customer service, better use of assets. From a smart city perspective, better use of assets on the field. So the government has to deal with certain amount of assets for managing that particular geography. The Goa government has to have certain amount of assets in which it needs to manage. How do you better utilize IoT, Internet of Things? Putting it to a digital world into a smart city environment helps doing that. But what are the problems? The problems are, I don't know whether this works, necessary skills to make most of the IoT data. Now imagine again, going back to analogy, all of these devices start talking, but somebody talks French, somebody talks German, somebody talks Sanskrit, and there's a whole amount of chatter and you have no clue what's going around. That's about to happen. That's about to happen. Secondly, managing an increase in incoming data. The amount of data that is going to come in, as I said, 44 zettabytes is unimaginably large. None of the largest telcos in the world, none of the largest banking environments in the world, none of the largest IT environments in the world have seen 44 zettabytes of data at one place. That's what the digital world is going to see, right? So these are the problems. Now, here is two sides of the coin, right? The first side is understanding, so I'm just trying to size up the data challenge, right? When all of these devices are going to start talking, right, data handling becomes a challenge. And some of the challenges are listed here, but again, I'll go back to my analogy. One is, how do you understand the different, how do you have so many people talking? It's like, okay, let's take another example. If all of you start talking right here, and if I have to understand every bit of what everyone is saying, is that going to be a challenge or no? Yeah? All of us speak English, fine enough. Is that going to be a challenge? Most definitely, right? Now also imagine that each of you, or each table, speaks a different language. Challenge multiplied. Now also imagine if I, or somebody, or one of us, or the panel here, has to make sense of all of that data. There is information in it, there is intelligence in it, there is great value in it. Now we have to decipher that value out of all this chatter. So three areas, right? So that's the deluge of data, the different protocols that they will talk on, and how do you build an application layer that can understand all of this and bring out the intelligence in that chatter? That's the data handling challenge. On the other side, that's the data handling challenge. The data usage challenge is, how do you make information out of this, right? Both these put together. How, first, do I make everything talk? Secondly, how do I normalize this data into one language? And then how do I make sense of it? That's what the challenge of IoT is. And all of these challenges, the last statement makes sense. Any IoT solution requires some combination of these building blocks. Make sense? Connectivity, if you need to have a smart city, if you need to have an Internet of Things environment, you need all of them to be connected. You need all of them to be mobile communicated, right? Anywhere, everywhere. You need all of this information to be available in the cloud somewhere. It's infrastructure. There's a lot of application lifecycle management. So it requires all of these building blocks like a Lego block to build a smart city. Up till now, in my presentation, I'm enumerating the challenges that are there in this Internet of Things or smart city, as you may call it. Right? So, sorry. How do I build an IoT solution? I'm sure all of us have that question, right? All of us have that question. Okay, fine, enough. Aejaz, you've spoken enough. How do I build an IoT solution? Well, just speak with a few folks, just a few of them, from all of these vendors, right? Because you'll need to, or talk to one federation of organizations. So EMC is a federation of organizations, independent organizations. So while EMC here is all about the infrastructure that you would require, so you see the building blocks, and I'm enumerating the building blocks over here. EMC that you see as an II, as a company, is all about the infrastructure. Pivotal that you see up there is all about an application platform for the next gen, right? A cloud or a mobile application development platform that the new world application developers, code developers can use and build very quick apps. Go back to my slide, in your mind where I spoke of the new world of IT, right? Same applications, but now you need to develop new age applications. This is where it helps you. VirtuStream is a cloud platform, a cloud services organization. So all of this put together, EMC strategically aligned businesses take the complexity out of IT. In the last part of my presentation, and I know I'm running short on time, I'm going to talk about very quickly on, so you've spoken, right? Manage millions of things, put data into action, and develop a cloud mobile IoT application which can understand this. How do I do this? Right? How do I do this? Sorry. So this is almost the same thing, so I'm going to skip. We've done work with Coca-Cola, we've done work with connected cars, we've done work with industrial turbines for GE. That's all the experience that we have as a big, large, multinational conglomerate, and we'd love to bring that experience to use in each of your environments as you see us. Right? So this is important. Now, there are 4 major parts, and very, very logical as well, right? There are devices on which the entire IT, the compute, the storage, the application is in the device. Like an ambulance, it can be, right? The ambulance can start speaking suddenly, right? There could be devices like the lamppost, which I'm coming to the next part. Yep, the next part, sorry. The next part here, where I come, the lamppost will require certain devices external to connect to the lamppost to start talking. This will intrinsically talk, so the app logic and compute storage is inside. This will talk outside, but again, will talk somewhere. And all of this information, whether you need extrinsic devices or intrinsically talk to the computers, will need to be either in a core data center off-premise on a cloud somewhere, and we can offer that as a service, or you build a data center upfront. That's how you really, really go about doing stuff. Right, so that's the IoT platform, the devices, right, the remote edges, the edge sites, right? These are the converged. So this is where the technology where we build in. We bring in the compute, the storage, the application right where the devices are, and let them talk remotely to an application set through a data center, where you can either develop your own applications or integrate third-party available applications. So if there's already an available application which can work on a data set for smart lighting or for smart parking, then we can integrate with those applications. Why? Because our Cloud Foundry application development platform allows this kind of next generation integration through an API layers. So that in a framework manner is how EMC can help you develop this IoT platform. Right? Multiple examples, but we'll skip for the moment. And what's the vision for the city of the future? Efficient, right? Imagine if everybody can talk in an effective manner and you can actually understand. I took multiple examples, right? If an ambulance talks to the signal light, which then talks in turn to all the cars put together, imagine the myriad of possibilities there, and so on and so forth, right? If you can actually have probes which can tell you the toxicity level in the lake water, again, smart city, right? Animals, if animals could convey their health to a centralized repository, that could make farming all the more easy. So all of this is the vision for the city of the future. As I spoke, we did this for 2 examples that I can quote here. There are multiple others that I don't have slides on. But city of Rio, this is what we did for them as a smart city environment. For Zhejiang, China, we did a complete traffic management, the end-to-end, right from all the three parts, right? The edge probes, putting technology there, communicating through the cloud the data to a data center, and building a data center, not just the infrastructure, but the application layer which can make intelligence out of all the data available. And that's what this is all about. Another visual or a graphic display of the same thing, right? Next steps. So what do we do now? You've heard me. You liked what I said, hopefully. What do we do? The best way to take this discussion forward is to allow us, and we've defined here a EMC vision workshop, right? We have an executive briefing center back up in Goa, in Bangalore, sorry, right? And some other places in the world as well, where we can do a complete workshop with customers or government entities or educational institutes or whoever cares to try and understand how we can transform the vision to reality. So that, I would plead, is the next steps that you can look at. And with that, that brings me to the final slides. This is our contribution to the government and defense in India. Multiple projects that EMC in Indian government environment has been part of, right? And my colleague Samir, would you just stand up and wave out from EMC is here, right here, so you can talk to him. And he would have information on most of these projects, be it the Aadhaar, be it the National Crime Records, the Census of India. We've been right there in the thick of things with Government of India. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mr. Saiyed, for sharing with us what EMC is doing globally and how all those can be incorporated in the Indian ecosystem, keeping in mind the Indian realities. And let's hope that world will change more for a better world, leveraging technology. Thanks a lot. We had the Government of India perspective, we had industry perspective. Other Government of India speakers are here also. But let's have some Goa perspective also. Can I invite Ms. Revati Mujumdar, CEO Goa Electronics Limited, to come and share her vision on Digital India, Digital Goa for Digital India, I would say. Thanks.
Good evening, everybody. Dignitaries on the dais, fellow colleagues who have traveled from the other states to my state, and my colleagues from Goa and friends. It's indeed a pleasure to be talking about a topic which is quite close to, I think, everybody in the IT domain. That's Digital India. It's definitely one of the most ambitious projects of the Government of India, pet project of our Prime Minister. And there's no second thought that if we all want to see India as the next superpower, as we call it, it's no more about arms and ammunitions. It's more about your technology, how you use it, how loaded are your guns technically, and how you accurately aim, focus, and are able to fire the right shots. So, given Digital India, there will be a lot spoken in favor, but I definitely feel that for any project, it is equally important to also realize or give a little bit of understanding about the challenges. So I'll take a bit of an odd step and say that I'll be discussing about the few challenges that I see in the Digital India, which we all need to be looking at to ensure that we make it a success. We all were overwhelmed when we were told that the private sector is looking at investing something to the tune of 4.5 lakh crores into Digital India. That is big money. I mean, just now in the first presentation, when we were told that the total outlay expenditure for these schemes is to the tune of 3.5 lakh crores, it is still lesser than what we expect the private sector to contribute or are expecting to contribute to Digital India. So strongly, if we are thinking that the foundation of Digital India is going to be on this partnership, it gives rise to two major challenges as I see it. I think everybody in the government domain these days has been experiencing this. We have been experiencing it at a smaller level, that whenever we come out with tenders, we are not getting as many participation from the private sector as we should be. This is reducing, and this is getting into a trend kind of a thing. I was really, a couple of days ago, I read a good report come out by NASSCOM. I don't know if Rajiv is here. And I wonder how they come out with such intrinsic information and really good information. It said that the outlay that payable by the government of India today, or across the states all put together, to the IT sector alone is to the tune of 5,000 crores. So I think we all need to, as a government entity, need to think that we need to make this ecosystem strong enough, this association between the private and the government strong enough, if we expect so much of help and support from the private sector to make not only Digital India in the perspective of smart cities also, because it's all about PPP. And this association needs to be strong between the private and the government. Latest example was GSTN. If we all know, the Goods and Service Tax Network, it's the technology backbone for the most ambitious reforms in indirect taxes in India. In fact, in that case also, they have been constantly trying to come up with RFPs to get the vendors on board. And the latest thing was they came out with an RFP just to say that come up with some organization, come up and give us at least 24 engineers to do the coding in-house. So there, I guess we all as government entities need to be thinking to make this ecosystem more stronger. Second important the second important challenge, as I see, is the financial feasibility of the project. We are talking about Digital India, where we are talking about connecting the rural India. We are talking about connecting the villages through IT infrastructure, phones, the connectivity through broadband network, building the capacity of the rural India. Financial feasibility of the project for the private vendors is very important. Once again, at the local level, we have tried ourselves to put up CSCs in the past, and they haven't taken off for the very same reason that the financial feasibility wasn't there. So I think this is the second challenge that we all need to look at, that we need to be devising the models in such a way that the project has to be financially feasible and sustainable for the private vendors as well. Another very interesting area I find in Digital India, which I definitely would like to throw light upon, or take, that the Digital India's focus is on building the capacity of the rural India. That's by training and getting the village level guys to a level where they are able to use the technology that the government wants to give them. I think it's most relevant at this time that the government also thinks, that we all also think on this side, that as an institution in itself, the government, when we are talking about a project, an IT project, which is going to be funded to the tune of 4.5 lakh from the private and 1.15 lakh crores from the government itself. So it's like almost 1/4 of our country's budget, national budget. So the capacity of the government in itself, is it built enough to handle a project of such magnitude and such scale? So I guess we have the NIC here, we have the deity, of course, but monitoring and putting in place such a big project, I guess we need a complete team of good industry experts, IT professionals. Horizontal inclusion from the industry is a must in governance to have such a big dream realized. So this is another aspect which I guess we all need to be thinking about, whether at the state level or at the central level when we are executing various projects in the smart city or the Digital India purview. I guess the last concern area that we all should be looking at was privacy and data protection. Everybody, every state, the nation as a whole is collecting immense data today. We jam, as you said rightly, we are going to have the mobile linked to your account the account linked to your travel details, your digital locker. Given this whole system whereby there'll be a profile of every person online, it would be almost like creating a surveillance infrastructure on the part of the government, which is very good, which is very nice. From the perspective of a citizen, I would also like to just add on here that today our laws which deal with data protection or data privacy are very weak or almost non-existential. So we need to be looking at making these aspects also quite firm so that we come out with good laws and regulations to how we share the data and how we protect the data of the citizen when we take it at such a large scale. So I think we all are on it that we need to get onto the Digital India bus. Only thing is that we need to cater or we need to look at these particular kind of challenges, deal with them, and definitely it will succeed. That's it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, ma'am. Thanks a lot for putting in perspective the challenges which lies ahead for the Digital India program to succeed. We don't have much time. We have been told that Honorable Chief Minister is on his way. So we have to finish this session in 10-12 minutes time. So I'll request Sri Shashi Ranjan Kumar, Joint Secretary Department of Telecommunications, Government of India, to come and give a presentation. But I'll just request sir and also to George Kuruvilla sir, let's finish this session in 10-12 minutes time. Thanks a lot.
Speakers on the dais, ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening. Digital India is a huge subject and the time allotted in only 5 minutes. So I don't know how much justice I would be able to do. I had a presentation, but I guess there is no time to rush through it. But I would like to focus on some of the key areas. Can you just put no, yeah. This one? I think we need not dwell upon these things. These are the 9 pillars of Digital India. And the first 2 is the one which our department is considered, Department of Telecommunications. Of course, in the hall, whoever is present, we all know that Digital India cannot be a success unless we are able to provide broadband connectivity to each and every person in the country. Now, we all know, sometimes people come to ask me personally, sometimes there are questions which are raised in the parliament, that why our broadband penetration is so low as compared to mobile penetration. All of you may be knowing that we have already crossed 1 billion mark so far as mobile connectivity is concerned, but which is almost 1 for each person in the country. But as far as broadband connectivity is concerned, we have just last month crossed the mark of 15 crore. You all are all aware that broadband is provided through primarily either through a wired means or through a wireless means. In wired means, you can go through the copper access, which is the prevalent mode right now, in the sense that the BSNL and which is the largest provider of landline telephone, they are bringing copper line right up to your house and you are getting broadband through that. Wide penetration of broadband in India is very, very limited, and for very obvious reasons. We have huge issues in urban areas for granting of right of way to telecom infrastructure providers. Whatever success has happened because in last 2 years we have almost more than doubled the number of broadband connections in the country. At the end of 31st March 2014, the number of broadband connections was 60 million, 6 crore. Now it is 15 crore. And it is largely due to the wireless broadband, the broadband that you are accessing on your mobile phones. But of course, in 4G, when we go to 4G and 5G, you will be able to get much more speed there. But the preferred way of bringing broadband to every household is through the optical fiber cable. Now here is a huge challenge. The government is committed to provide 100 Mbps connectivity to each of the Gram Panchayats of the country, which are numbering 250,000 in the country. And when initially the program was conceived in 2011, the idea was that from wherever nearest point BSNL fiber can be tapped, from that point you take a new fiber to the Gram Panchayat and provide the connectivity to them, which roughly comes to 2.4 kilometer on all India basis, which translates into laying of 6 lakh kilometer of fiber in the country. Now kindly remember that so far, since inception, we have been able to lay 12 lakh kilometer of fiber in the entire country. And the program envisaged 6 lakh. The program was approved in 2011, virtually took off only in 2014, and we have been able to put around 1.25 lakh so far. Meanwhile, there was a very high-level committee review which kind of scaled the architecture of broadband provision to the villages, which is that it will not be only incremental, because when it is in incremental, there are issues of quality. We don't know the quality of optical fiber that is beyond that point of interconnect, as also it is vulnerable to a single cut. So one cut and the GP is gone. So it envisaged, rather it proposed that the villages should be put in a ring, the GP should be put in a ring with the block, and then it added another new module which says that, okay, you have brought up to it's like the smaller roads connecting the block headquarters, but what will happen to the traffic at the block level? There will be jam. So you also upgrade the infrastructure between the block and the district. So between district and the block, there should also be rings. And this new architecture increased the cost to more than 1 lakh crore, as also the length of total fiber to 17 lakh kilometer. Now there's a huge task, as was being told by Revati, because when you are operating at such a scale, multiple challenges will rise to you. From where do you procure equipment? From where do you get manpower? From where do you get the machines which horizontally drill to put fiber inside? So it's a hugely challenging. Very recently, because time is very limited, very recently, that is a month back, we have tried to change tack. And we have thought that going underground, it will be very, very difficult given the speed that we have so far been able to achieve. So in the phase 1, where we have to connect 1 lakh GPs, we'll go as usual in the previous mode. In the phase 2, remaining 1,50,000 Gram Panchayat, we are trying to go over electricity lines. So we have communicated to all states that in order to have faster ROW, we would like to involve the distribution companies of the state government to take fiber from the block to the GPU overhead, which will be a lot quicker, also a lot cheaper. And then, because the PM has set a very stiff target of providing this connectivity till, I mean, up to December 2018. In any case, not beyond that. So we have to connect all these panchayats by December 2018. Once we provide this connectivity, then in the phase 3, we will actually connect them in ring formation to A, enhance the quality, and B, improve the reliability. But our present focus is to connect all the GPs by 2018 in all 2,050 lakh, 2.5 lakh GPs. So this is one point of the problem, the broadband highways. In the urban areas, we have been relying more on, we are relying more on market mechanism. We are trying to put more spectrum, which is vital for providing services, both voice as well as broadband. So very soon in August, July, August, you will see a greatest ever auction of spectrum in the country, which will happen simultaneously in 7 bands, 700, 800, 900, 1800, 2100, 2300, 2500 megahertz band. So we want to put more spectrum in the market so that there is no scarcity. And then we want the market to take care of service provisioning. I began by saying that often this question is asked, why there is so less broadband penetration? One is the lack of infrastructure. But why is this infrastructure is not coming? After all, why we could reach the 1 billion mark in case of mobile voice connectivity? We were able to provide voice connectivity at the cheapest ever rate in the world. Our average revenue per user is 100 rupees per month, which is lowest anywhere in the world. In case of broadband, the cost is still will not be less than 400, 500 rupees. So how many people are there in this country who at 500 rupees can afford broadband? So it's not only merely a question of providing infrastructure. Unless our technology is so cheap that it is able to provide broadband at 100, 100, 200 rupees, we will not be able to achieve that kind of connectivity, that kind of spread. Government on its own is trying to minimize this cost by funding this infrastructure entirely from the government funds. So entire 1 lakh crore will go from government kitty, which brings down the cost for the private sector. But the last mile connectivity from the panchayat to the homes and to the remaining villages has to be with the help of private sectors. I think I can see anxiety on his face. I will not take any further time. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Shashi Ranjan sir, for coming and sharing his vision on BharatNet and how broadband connectivity can be taken to the last miles of this country. We don't have much time. Honorable CM on his way. I'll just request Sri George Kuruvilla sir, Chairman and Managing Director, Broadcast Engineering Consultants India Limited, to share his dream on how a PSU can be part of Digital India dream of Government of India. But sir, please don't mind, we have only 5 minutes time for you.
Sure. Thank you very much, and I once again thank you, the Government of Goa, the Urban Department of Government, and also Elets for giving this opportunity to share a few words here. We are a broadcast engineering consulting India limited company, which is 100% owned by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. So I worked with All India Radio and Doordarshan for 23 years, and for the last 4 years, I have got absorbed into this PSU, and so I understand both the sides of the world. And so the role of PSU, we find that as, Madam, you have been sharing about how do we do tender and how do we get L1 and how do we actually implement, which is the biggest challenge for nearly all the departments of government, with 5 C's in position, the CAG, the CBC, the CBI, and all the officers are scared about how do we go about, and still nobody points a finger at us, and still we procure it, we implement it, and in the best possible manner. If you go for L1, then we come into a situation where we don't get the right product. If you go for something else, then they say, okay, why have we spent so much on this? And somewhere in between lies the answer, where the best of the technology in reasonable rates, how do we bring it together? So as public sector organization, that's what we have started working on. We were talking about platform, and we shared about the direct transfer platform. We talked about a few technologies together can be made as a platform which can be used seamlessly. So now we started working in that, is that if we are trying to see that what are the platform, whether it is for the smart city, for the safe city, that we can build as a public sector organization which can offer services in the rental mode, in the service mode, or even the whole building mode in such a manner that the project is implemented and at a very reasonable cost and possibly in a rental cost. As we said that, to acquire a technology is one thing, to implement it, but there is a recurring cost attached to it. So we are looking at any IT project or anywhere, at least 10% to 15% is a recurring cost for any license, whether Oracle or anywhere you take, you have to keep paying that money again and again. So why not we do and build up and bring a platform in such a manner that the same 15% which you spend every year as a recurring cost, that becomes a rental mode of services offered through a public sector organization. So we are looking at what are the best technologies that we can bring it together seamlessly, as we were talking about, not specific to a company, but the best that we can bring out, whether it is the various components of the storage, the servers, the networks, networking things, and also the automation software and the workstations all together, the various components of the IT domain together, which is used for nearly every platform, whether it is smart city, safe city, and then you have got other commodities like the cameras or the audio systems and everything. So that is what we are doing as a PSU, we are looking at. And in broadcasting, of course, there's no time to talk about, so I just limited at that. What in the broadcasting, we can say that, you know, we are going into looking into that how the television can be, you know, digital, made digital. Doordarshan is already going for it. But how it can be economically viable, that is a big challenge, because when we have got DTH and other services, how a digital terrestrial transmitter that offers 10 channels terrestrially will be, you know, good for people to take on to the digital reception when they have through the cable 500 channels and through the satellite also 500 or 300 to 500 channels available. And the radio also, we have got FM doing very well, but there is, you know, once it becomes digital, the same channel can carry at least 3 to 4 FM, you know, digital, you know, audio channels. So once we go digital, then we have got a, you know, the same bandwidth can be used to give much more services, and so we have to go digital, but there is big challenges on the receiver side. So how do we have a receiver which is, you know, which can receive the digital signal television or the radio signal? That is a challenge, and that is where again we are working that we make receivers, because India is a big market, and we contribute, you know, bring the technologies, make a receiver, so that we have digital receivers which can receive various kind of RF signals, you know, both television and radio, audio and video. So we being in broadcasting, now it's a converged world, so we're looking at broadcasting, telecommunication, IT coming together, and that is where our knowledge of RF signals, the knowledge of broadcast, the audio and the video, together we are trying to bring and put our knowledge in such a manner that we contribute in the public good and the service to the last mile in e-governance and the surveillance and the analytics part of it and the execution part of it, how we can help various state governments and central government agencies to implement these technologies and provide them in the rental or service mode. Thank you very much.
Take another 5-10 minutes. We can have a short Q&A session before CM comes, if everybody agrees. Yeah. Can we have the lights in the conference room, please? Gagan? Thanks. Any questions for the panelists? I think Mr. Gautam Garodia, CEO of Comsor, is here. He has some questions. Before he starts with a question, I must share that Elets Knowledge Summit Goa 2016, in which Government of Goa and GSIDs are the host partners, is witnessing participation from across India, from states like Sikkim, states like Madhya Pradesh, and at least 10 to 15 municipal commissioners from across India will be here to share their dreams on smart cities and digital India. I think that's a huge achievement for a conference, which truly trying to create a platform of various stakeholders engaged with smart cities. Great. I think it deserves a hand for the Government of Goa for organizing this brilliant conference and host partner GSIDC. Yes, Gautam sir.
Hi. Good afternoon. My name is Gautam Goradia. My question is to Ms. Revati Mujumdar and to Joint Secretary Deti. You know, we've heard a very good presentation from EMC and from the two of you as well. We've all speaking about smart cities. We saw smart parking, smart this, smart that, smart that, smart that, smart that, smart that. The word smart doesn't seem to end. I just want to ask everyone this one simple question here, that have we wondered about the smart terrorist? We are talking about X zettabytes of data, but we are not thinking about one fact that one blast somewhere when the terrorists become smarter what use is that data going to be? I'm sure my friend will have an answer saying that, we will have redundancy and this, that, and the other. But somewhere down the line, I think we're missing some very, very basic areas. And ma'am, you mentioned some very important thing about take care of your guns. And that your actually relates to Made in India. DATI is about digital India, and I think we also need to look about physical safety and physical security as being part of digital India. We can enhance our lives and enhance our safety using technology. And I think all that can be made in India. It is available in India. And I think gone are the days when security and safety is only going to be the job of the police. There will have to be involvement from each one of us. So that's an observation anybody can take this question and answer.
Actually, I am from the Department of Telecommunications, not from DATI. But I didn't get your question. If we are also trying to encourage Make in India, there are, of course, challenges in this country of manufacturing that we are very well aware of. But DATI, though I don't belong to DATI, has taken many initiatives, and we also in the Department of Telecommunications, through our preferential market access policy, have been trying to give boost to domestic manufacturing. And I don't know how many of you know, but we are setting up 1,836 mobile towers in the 10 left-wing extremist affected states of the country. Yeah. So in Jharkhand, part of Maharashtra, you know all aware which are the 10 states. And this technology that we are using is completely indigenous technology, is developed by an Indian person. And not only that, it is completely green technology in the sense that these 1836 mobile towers will be powered by solar energy. Yeah. So there is no, normally in the far-flung areas, we are consuming huge amount of diesel to run these mobile towers, not in this case. Similarly, you must have heard of Aejaz, they are coming up. So, you have to understand that particularly in case of manufacturing, electronics manufacturing, there is a huge entry barrier for new companies, and there are huge capital that is required initially, and somebody has to take that capital risk, to develop this new technology. It requires a global market to sustain itself. You cannot just sustain a very small market when you are investing at a large scale. So it is in a nascent stage, work in progress, but of course the country is moving forward and we are trying to encourage it.
Can we have a perspective of George Kuruvilla, sir, as well? Since I was a culprit to cut short his time.
Okay, as sir has already said, you see, we are all trying as a PSU, this is one of our main, aims, how do we make things in India? And as you said, secure things. So even when we are using all the best of the world technologies, we are trying that, we put our own security layers, which is controlled by us. The servers are, the main servers are housed with us or in India in such a way that the security of the data and all those things is maintained, especially the government. And when we are talking about safe city data, very important that we have a control over it. So we are trying for that. We are not directly allowing anybody, to take the signal out there, in their services abroad. And that is where we are also working, that the server, through which it is all routed through, that control is still, with us. And that's where, we are really putting in an effort that we make sure that whenever we are talking about smart cities and safe cities in future, any data, as he said, an airport, if the data can be seen abroad anywhere, it's a very, very big, security. So the camera, how many outputs are going, whether any output is landing outside the country and where, so from where are those devices, the routing devices, and the, connected devices. All government agencies and we all are, we are aware and we are already educating people, especially those who are not technology savvy, that any device that we put, we make sure that we know that how many outputs and where are it landing, and whether it is being controlled or who is watching us unknowingly, our systems, what we have. So that's very important, and we all have to work together for that.
Revati ma'am.
Yeah, I mean, that was a very, am I audible? Yeah. That was a very pertinent, actually, issue. And if you are aware that stats say that by 2020, the demand for IT component manufacturing is going to touch something like 400 billion USD. So that's big. But the actual issue that we need to deal with is that India's capacity to meet that demand is going to touch only to the tune of 100 billion USD. So a deficit of around 300 is too huge. I'm sure the government is working in many directions to ensure. One of the key discussions going on recently in all the forums is that to ensure some policy level decisions whereby we ensure that Make in India is sold in India also, or is purchased in India also. That is another key aspect in the policy where we need to look into, all of us.
So,
because I think his primary concern is also security, is that there is a guideline for mandatory testing of telecom equipments, which is used in networks. But we have been allowing them to test outside through recognized. We are trying to set up that lab in India itself. And once that laboratory is set up, or we design a mechanism by which we recognize certain Indian private sector companies to run those labs. But it's a very challenging thing, because very, very challenging, because you don't know. It's mostly through the software that the malware that how to crack those codes is not an easy thing. But it's a work in progress. We have been trying. Thank you.
So, thanks a lot, Sri Peeyush Kumar, Sri Shashi Ranjan Kumar, George Kuruvilla sir, Revati Mujumdar, Aejaz Saiyed, for give us a wonderful perspective on digital India and how, again, smart cities came into it. So it was a blistering start for the pre-inaugural session of Elets Knowledge Exchange Goa 2016. We are on the verge of seeing the inauguration of this conference. Before we end this session, I'll request all the speakers to come forward. There's a small thing that we're going to give a speaker moment to all of our speakers. I'll request Mr. Saiyed to give speakers moment to Sri Peeyush Kumar. Mr. Peeyush Kumar, if you can just hand over the moment to Mr. Saiyed, if you can hand over the trophy to Mr. Peeyush Kumar. A big round of applause to Mr. George Kuruvilla, to Shashi Ranjan Kumar, to Ma'am Revati Mujumdar, I'll request Peeyush Kumar sir to hand over speaker moment to Mr. Saiyed. We welcome Shri Lakshmikant Pasekar, Honorable Chief Minister of Goa, in Knowledge Exchange Summit Goa 2016, in which Government of Goa and GSIDC are the host partners.